don't know if the mic picked up those, but that was some good crackage. I had a loop for quite a while, but isn't it the same as with every control deck? Controls an archetype. Control as an archetype will always need adjustment periods to the meta, thus sometimes getting inconsistent results unless they just have busted cards. There's definitely a lot of that. That is definitely a true thing, although I think a lot of people sort of overrate it, or they overestimate the impact that that has. Um, but it's definitely a factor. I think a bigger factor for blue black falling off is that there haven't been any major tournaments, and you need that sort of innovation comes from either grinding out grinding out online, which people don't do with dedicated control decks nearly as much, so you don't get that, or preparing for big tournaments, and the Pro Tour is the big tournament, so they wouldn't they wouldn't be breaking those out quite yet. Um, the other moto bias that I was mentioning before, thank you Hellclan, is blue black as a deck is generally, or control in general, I should say, is generally a more expensive deck than something like red aggro. I think Teamer Energy is probably more expensive, but um, there's a lot of decks that people already had online, like Mardu Vehicles or whatever, where uh, you have two biases. One, it being cheap versus expensive, and the other is being you already have it versus it all being new. And if you're grinding out games, you generally want to play a more proactive deck. Um, if you're just like a moto grinder who's trying to plow through tournaments, you don't want all your matches to take an hour. Uh, so a combination of all those factors makes blue black be played way less, and then on top of that, the decks that are being played more, because of those biases against blue black, also beat blue black. So it kind of compounds. There's kind of like an intersectionality thing going on there um, where it's getting hit twice over. Yeah, it's also generally more skill testing to build and tweak a control deck and play it optimally than it is to just fucking kill somebody with a stock aggro list. Again, no one of these factors is like hugely impactful and makes a massive difference. It's just all of them kind of chip away at it, and then when you add it all together, the sum the sum of the parts um, leaves you with a little less representation there. So start of an article. Why write an article when I could just say it to you? Haha. Now only the fucking 21 people in here know those bits of information I shared. Da 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 dum. All right. So let's start at Worlds, which I think it's important to note that what does Star City have? 22nd, first, second, third, fourth, sixth, ninth, 10th, 16th, 22nd. I guess that's just the ones that are in articles for them. What do I want? Goldfish maybe. Worlds, please. Not cards. It's like Crucible of Worlds? Is that what you meant? Decks. Metagame? Format staples? I don't use this website. I don't know how it works. Most played cards in standard. Negate, attune with Aether. Are you guys seeing this? I don't really know what's going on. Standard metagame. This looks more like what I'm looking for. So I assume these numbers come from data mining Modo. Somebody in the chat that knows more about this website can correct me. Actually, from the numbers, 54 decks, 22 decks, 17 decks, this looks like it's data mining websites. Because if it was data mining Moto, it would have way more. MTGO and IQs? Any event with available deck lists online. That would be my guess. Because 54, 22, 17, 15, those are not data mining numbers. Those are counting numbers. You count to 54. You don't data mine to 54. Right, so it has the 5.0 Moto lists that Moto chooses, that the MTGO team chooses to release, which doesn't really help us so much. But we weren't really going to look at this number anyway, this metagame representation, because it was going to be misleading anyway because of those things I was saying. So I guess it doesn't really matter. None of this matters. I don't know why we're talking about it. Why'd you guys bring this up? You're stupid. We just need lists, right? Sultai Energy? I don't think I've seen that in a while. Blue-white control, is this... the artifact deck? Tokens deck is sweet, if you haven't seen that one. I don't like black-red aggro, I guess I'll pull it up. Oh no, this is the gift deck. Blue-green is just worst teamer. Blue-black control, that's what I'm looking for. Blue-black versus blue-black, like mid-range, tempo. From these cards, it looks like a creature-based deck. Uberg. What Nephilim is that? Missing white. I'm gonna say it's the Witchmaw. How do you spell Nephilim? Like that? Nephilim? Nephilim. Nephilim. Ah, Glintai! Witchmaw's no red. I blew it. How could I be so dumb? Time Twister, what's up? Jabberwocky had a sweet brew. Dude, somebody sent me a message on Facebook. It's like a Magic player, you know, not like a pro or anything. Sent me a message on Facebook. Is like, hey, do you know who Jabberwocky is on Magic Online? I'm like, yeah, dude, everybody does. But ship that list if you have it. I love me a Jabberwocky brew. I love me a Jabberwocky deck list. The fact that it's a brew is only added value. I can probably zoom this for your sake. And mine. I hate websites that don't zoom well. This one looks like it may be one. That is unfortunate. What can I do? 125%, 150%? This works, right? Lands gets kind of split in half, but let's see if I can go higher. 175? No, no good. 150 is where we're at. The watch sales. Advertisement by Armani. Well, I have ad block on, so that's interesting. Honestly, I only have ad block because of like pop-ups and stuff. Like if all the ads were just this, I would definitely not have ad block. I have so many sites whitelisted too. I don't want anybody to think that I'm like an ad block jerk. But I would much rather just like give a website $5 and then use their site with ad block on for a year, you know? Support people, but also Fucking banner ads are an outdated mode of monetization. All right. So this is from a classic in Cincinnati by someone. Suggest a better name. We should all click this button because this is a stupid name. I hate the names that are just like, this is what this deck does. But also, like, Teamer isn't a thing anymore. Like, we're out of that world. Like, this is just blue, red, and green. But anyway, so this won a tournament. Looks pretty standard. The one Carnage Tyrant is a bit odd, and these numbers down here are interesting. I mean, they're interesting, but like they're just the same card, right? Like Supreme Will is an Essence Scatter, which is a Magma Spray. You're just like splitting them up a little bit. Seda Energy. Yeah, the redirect ads. Fuck that. Two Coup main is interesting too. I think they usually play one. But this is the big baddie on the block right now. I don't know if it's, 54% representation or whatever that number was. It was like 25. I don't know if it's 25. It might be like 18%, but there's it's definitely a deck that like you're going to play at least once. The spectacles make you look like Clark Kent. When my hair is longer, I have like a cowlick on this side of on this side of my head. So I like push that back, and then I get the one curl, and I actually get the Clark Kent like the Superman curl. It's pretty funny. 22 lands with 4 attune. I don't know. There's not much to say about this deck. I think it's really resilient. In terms of creature-based decks, right? Like they want you to play to the board. Modern Magic is about creatures and board interaction, and the problem with that is that creatures are inherently fragile, right? You just kill them. It's like, why play Baneslayer when you can play Doomblade type of hyperbole? But this deck is good because it has good spells, and its creatures are both cheap and or resilient. Excuse me. Like if they use a 1 or 2 mana removal spell on your cub, it's whatever, or servant, especially servant, you're just like, yay, free energy, you're exchanging up. And if they don't kill it, then you can power out your your much better creatures. And then Rogue Refiners, like 2.5 for 1. Whirler Virtuoso is like a 2.5 for 1. Hydra's just real hard to kill. Glorybringer usually kills someone. Sub hype. Oh no, I need to put in my earbuds. Thank God I saw the thing in chat. I was like, I don't need my earbuds because we're not listening to music or anything, but I need that alert. Sub hype. It is, Dr. Faust. Dr. Faust? Leet Dr. Faust. Thank you and welcome. And my friend Austin has arrived. Armani watches. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you can buy this $300 deck, then you can afford a watch, right? Yeah, they finally got quiet. I was also in my bedroom, and this is my like living area. And they were being loud like directly above me, so if they're being loud, it's in the other room, thankfully. They were like wrestling or something earlier. I don't know. Anywho. So yeah, so like there's not a lot of instant speed removal that kills this and is cheap, right? Like to kill this, they have to leave up a ton of mana, and then you just play a Hydra, and they're like, oh, I can't use my removal spell. But if they like tap out for a creature, then you can kill it with Glorybringer, and then they have to kill the Glorybringer with a removal spell, and you 2 for 1 in that way. That's part of the reason why Harness Lightning is so busted. It's because you can get a Glory Bringer um, before it gets to exert, or a Hydra before the ETB energy lets it gain hexproof. It's just like the best removal spell right now, and works well in this shell of cohesive parts. So yeah, you're gonna see a lot of it. Chandra's Defeat is a little interesting. Guess it's just for Glorybringer type decks. That also is good against red. Ramunap red and red black and whatnot. Second Spray, 1 Pierce, 1 Abrade, 2 Negate. These are all like pretty normal splits. Nissa I actually don't like. I know that it's getting more and more common, but I think that there are cards that do a similar function as Nissa in the matchups where you want it that apply to more matchups and are more impactful in all of those matchups. Death Gorge Scavenger. Meh. Seems pretty low impact. Rather have, like, if I'm going after their graveyard, I would rather have something like Negates and Abrades and Scatters for Titan, not Titan, what are they called? Gearhulks. I like Slice and Twain, that's pretty cute. I was wondering why 1 Abrade and 2 Negate was enough, but 2 Slice and Twain answers that question. A second Carnage Tyrant, and then a Super Clone. This card is also delightful. Death Gorge is great in practice. Is there to gain life? I don't know about that. So you're going to play a 3-2 for 3, have it live, get to attack with it. There's a creature in the graveyard already. And then they can't block it. And you get to untap with it again, and then attack with it again, and there's another creature to eat. I don't buy it. I don't buy it. There's better ways to gain life that you don't just, like, get eaten up for 2 mana by a Magma Spray and destroyed. Triggers once on ETB. That is true. So I guess you only really need to get 1 attack. That's still asking so much. Like, if you were going to play this, not expecting it to attack, you should just play the dog, right? The artifact dog. I don't know. This thing does not impress me. But it's not egregious. I think Nissa is, like, pretty terrible. I like the rest of this. You'll often see 1-in-1 coup split, which I also like, but if you're not going to do 1-in-1, might as well have them both main. Card's great. The Silver Fox thing. Yeah, Chase Utley. This is trash. I'm inclined to agree. Not a fan. Alright, red. Sample deck is second place in an IQ. Not exactly the most impressive resume on it, but let's get into it, I suppose. Oh, excuse me. Ugh. I like couldn't fall asleep last night, and then I finally did. Slept for like 3 hours. Woke up, couldn't go back to sleep, and then went back to bed at like noon. I slept from noon until 4:30. So I got like almost 7 hours of sleep, but it was like weirdly split up and terrible. So I'm exhausted. So ramping out free lands and the Team of Mirror is pretty gross even if you don't hit creatures. I feel like there's better ways to attack that matchup. I couldn't name any off the top of my head, but seems like it's unimpressive. Are you a pro? I once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away. I did notice right after I went live that I'm wearing a Pro Tour shirt, but you guys can't see it. It looks like I just have a hole where my heart should be, or my left boob. You can see right through my left boob. Hey, what tournament is it? I can't see. I'm gonna tie myself up in this. Ugh. Was that Berlin? Yeah, Berlin. Woo! That was my first Pro Tour. That was actually 9 years ago today? No, it was October. So 9 years ago, like last week. My first Pro Tour. Look at that. Can you guys hear that? They're going ham. I don't know, it's like ferrets or something. No, Austin. This was before I was in Pennsylvania. I was still living in Chicago. I was 17 or 18. A young whippersnapper going to his first pro tour abroad. Still making it as a poker pro. Yeah, I play poker for most of my income. That is a true fact. So PT in Germany? I don't think so. Might have been Amsterdam. I think Berlin was my only German pro tour. Not my only European pro tour by any stretch, but all right, enough about me. Let's get back to the important stuff that people care about. Ramanap Red. I mean, there's not much to say about this deck. You've all seen it at the Pro Tour and whatnot. It's pretty much the same as it was. Paulo being totally correct and playing more lands is finally catching on. People were playing like 23 plus 1. I would just play 25, honestly. And I said that as soon as the Pro Tour happened. I was like, Paulo's right, I'm playing more lands, but I would go even further. And I think that holds true. I like the Pioneer main. At the very least, saves you a sideboard slot. 3 Abrade, 4 Strike is interesting. Only 1 Glorybringer. Ferocidon is kind of cute. I would have to see this play out, but it seems decent. Key to the City's cute. Harsh Mentor is interesting. I guess this is for energy? I don't know. I like Ferocidon. I'm not sure on Mentor. The Key to the City is cute. Harvester's great. Nalaar is great. They're great in tandem. Ferocidon is necessary. Seems good. I did not see Sanity Dog's list. I would be happy to look at it if you link it in chat. Are people Soulscar maging? Yeah. Gotta do what you gotta do. Gives you a lot more game against opposing Hazarets. I don't think this deck is going to be very represented at the Pro Tour. I think there's better aggressive strategies, and I think that this gets boxed out by some of the mid-range strategies that didn't exist at the Pro Tour where it succeeded. I think that it's probably overrepresented online because it's cheap and because people already had it built. Top list under PTQ on the right. Or I can click the direct link. Crash. So it does this 3-3 split, but hold on. Why are you auto maxing? There we go. Four. 3 carry Zev. 3 Crasher, 3 Crasher. 4 Hazoret, 4 Hazoret. So it's 1 Pianalar and spells against 2 Harsh Mentor, 2 Rampaging Ferocidon. 1 of the Abrades. Where's the extra slot coming from? Two, 13, 36, 60, 26, 50, 60. They're both 60. What? Harsh Mentor, Karazev, Unco, Crasher, 4 Hazard. Am I going crazy? Oh, Chandras, thank you. Jesus! I'm like, there's at least 1 card over. Yeah, the 2 Chandras become these other 2 creatures. Okay, thank you, thank you, thank you. Sandy Dog's list is just way more aggressive, right? That's the only difference. You save sideboard slots, which can be either worthless or extremely valuable, depending on how valuable those last 4 to 6 sideboard slots are, right? Like if you save those sideboard slots, but then fill it with like mediocre cards that you never bring in, then did you really save any sideboard slots? But if you save sideboard slots that then become like super impactful cards that you end up using, then it's super valuable. So I guess we should look at the sideboard to see what happens. So the Chandras are here. Still have the other Harsh Mentor and Ferocidons. Both the Pianalars are here instead of 1 and 1. The Chandras go up to 3 Chandras instead of 2 and 2, going up to 4. 2 Glorybringer instead of 1. And the 3rd Braid that was moved to the board. So you actually lose this sideboard slot back. So it's just... you're just moving pieces around, really. The extra sideboard slot that you save just goes to the cards that aren't in your main deck, right? The Abrade, the Pianalar, and the 2 Chandras. So he's just... it's like the same deck, but he's pre-boarded. And Sandy Dog doesn't have room for the stupid, like, key to the city nonsense. So yeah, exactly, Hellclan. He's pre-boarded. Which seems fine. Seems lower to the ground. Which I like. I think Chandra's like probably mediocre. Like I wouldn't go up to 4. I think 2 or 3 is fine. I'd rather have 3 Chandra and 2 Glorybringer than 4 Chandra and 1 Glorybringer. Yeah, Chandra's defeats are good. Alright. Moving right along. Sultai Energy. I've only seen this deck like once or twice. And like on coverage and stuff. And it seems like worse than just deciding to be Teamer Energy or Green Black Constrictor. Because it has this Constrictor stuff, but then you have weird value cards and energy stuff that doesn't really get you anywhere. Like, I don't think Glint Sleeve Siphoner is actually any good right now. I think it's like a post board type card, maybe. They call me Kath. Welcome. One big complaint I have about current standard is that a lot of the decks are just playing the same cards as each other, but moving around. Sideboard main deck, I think every list Teamer Energy. You wouldn't like Vintage then. Yeah. Pull up Jabberwocky's list. I'll look at it after we finish Sultai Energy. But yeah, it's Green Black Constrictor with like some value cards. That's exactly what I just said, right? You have Refiner and Hostage Taker and Scarab God, but otherwise this base is like pretty close to the Constrictor deck, but instead of the top end of Gear Hulk and like really just killing them, you have like Cub and Siphoner, which is a really weird halfway hedge type thing. So the reason I don't like this deck as much is because it has this cross identity issue on top of not having nearly as efficient spells. Blossoming Defense is hyper efficient, but situational, right? You need to have the right mana open at the right time, have them have the right spell and cast it on the right target that you have to have. Like, yeah, it works most of the time, but still a lot has to go right. And then Push is really cost effective for killing exactly 2 drops and sometimes killing exactly 3 and 4 drops, but it doesn't kill a 5 drops. It breaks even at killing 1 drops. And if you can't kill a 3 or 4 drop when you need to, then you're really fucked. And then Contempt is great, but just so expensive. Like, compare 4 Fatal Push to Vraska's Contempt to 4 Harness Lightning, 1 Magma Spray, 1 Essence Scatter, right? It's so much less efficient, this black package. Trying to pick a deck for an event. No, the Pro Tour starts tomorrow, and I just want to talk about the decks that people might show up with, what the metagame is like and stuff, so that I'm informed and that you may be informed as well. Because being informed about the format and the cards and the archetypes and stuff makes watching the Pro Tour that much more enjoyable. It doesn't feel like homework so much as enjoying a deep, interesting show with twists, you know? Two versions of Sultai now. Well, there's some blue-black decks that we're going to get to. Black removal isn't too good. I agree. I think Vraska's Contempt, if you are like a long game control deck, is like perfect. It's exactly what you want. But if you're like an on the board tempo deck, it's so expensive and slow and bad. Like, you're supposed to be killing planeswalkers by having a greater board presence and maybe like finishing them off with ballistas, not by spending your whole turn after it's activated. And you're supposed to kill creatures cheaply so that you can do multiple things in a turn and maintain your board advantage and press that advantage, not spend your whole turn to kill something and gain 2 life. Like, the 2 life is... The reason this card is good is because you can kill a planeswalker at instant speed. Like, you can go end step, kill your planeswalker, untap, and still have counter magic up or whatever. But when you have to play at sorcery speed, like, they play their... You play your creature, because you're a creature deck. They play their planeswalker and get value out of it. You untap and then sorcery speed this 4-mana spell to kill the planeswalker after it already activated. Not great. Not great. Killing Glorybringer that's a trap, right? If you're playing this deck, the situation where you can cast this on their freshly cast Glorybringer before it attacks and exerts, like that's fantasy land. That'll happen like one every 300 games. It's just not realistic. Obviously, killing Scarab God and Hazoret is amazing. And killing Planeswalkers can be good depending on the situation, but ideally you would just be playing Doomblade your creature, play another creature, attack the Planeswalker, right? You kill the Planeswalker for free, because it activated already. The Planeswalker activated already, so if you just spend a card and a turn killing it, you're behind, right? You lose that exchange. If you can kill the creature that was defending it and then attack the Planeswalker, then you killed the creature for your spell, so you're breaking even there, and then you kill the Planeswalker for free, which more than makes up for the one activation. The game is defined by these Planeswalkers now, and so you'll have cards that say kill a Planeswalker on it, and you're like, oh yeah, Planeswalkers. I want to beat Planeswalkers. But like, think about Jace the Mind Sculptor, right? Think about Jace coming down and brainstorming, and then the opponent untapping and casting like a Volcanic Hammer or, you know, Lava Axe or whatever, and killing it. The game is over, right? The Jace player has won the game. Call it. Throw in the towel. It's over, right? So that's the extreme example, but you can extrapolate these types of exchanges to be profitable or not profitable in that context, using that as sort of the logical conclusion of the line of thinking. Woot, almost 50 people. Welcome, welcome. I figure people roll in slowly as the other streamers drop off. But I'm not too worried about it. I mostly just want to talk about Magic. I said enough useful things tonight that I feel like I should just put this on YouTube. Attack the Planeswalker, get them chump and contempt their Planeswalker? Yeah, I mean, that's definitely a line of play. That's definitely something that's that comes up. I'm not saying the card is useless. I'm just saying it's better in the context of a control deck that can leave mana up and isn't trying to utilize a board advantage like this deck is. But yeah. It's also interesting that this has... It has the 4 attunes, but it doesn't have... It doesn't have the mana energy thing. And it only has 21 lands. The Temur Energy deck has 22 lands and attunes and the mana creature. But this deck has, like, the same, if not higher curve, right? Hostage Taker costs 4. Scarab God costs 5 and then 4. Contempt costs 4. Ballista can cost up to 4 or even 6. I guess you have Rishkar, but you don't really want to be using your creatures for mana like that. I mean, if you play, like, Ballista on 2 and then this on 3... then maybe you can use it to power out a Scarab God. That's not even good. Sultai is way more aggressive. Like, almost, right? It seems like it wants to be. It definitely seems like it wants to be more aggressive. But that's where that sort of identity issue comes in that I talked about right when I pulled up the list. Like, it's slated to be more lean and aggressive. Like, Blossoming Defense is like the giveaway card, right? You see a Blossoming Defense in a list, and, like, a red flag should go off. Like, wow, either they're trying to, like, fucking combo kill me, or they really, really, really want to be hyper efficient to the board. Not just hyper efficient in exchanges, but hyper efficient to the board. But then you get cards like Scarab God that are expensive and slow, and Hostage Taker that kind of give you a tempo boost, but really to get value you need, 2 full turns off of it. Rogue Refiner is the card that plays both sides of the ball. But I don't know. It's interesting. It is interesting. Duresses, negates, of course. Walk the plank, sure, why not? More of this thing for some reason. Hate this card. Absolutely would not play it. Gonti is sweet. Second Scarab God. Vraska. Two Pirate with Menace. Neg 3. Destroy artifact, creature, or enchantment and get a treasure. Alright. Gear Hulk. The problem with playing green Gear Hulk is everybody has Abrades and Harness Lightnings and stuff. Like, it's pretty hard to get profitable exchanges out of it. Nah, I disagree. I think you can play Dures's Counter Magic Slice and Twains and be fine. Ronus instead of Scarab God and maybe one fewer Hostage Taker. Sure. Sure. I mean, in terms of the identity issue, you're just rearranging the chairs on the deck of the Titanic, you know? Like, it's... That doesn't solve anything. That just sort of is, like, cleaner execution of something that doesn't have an end goal or a focused end goal. I don't know. Yeah, that clone card is sweet. I would probably play that in this sideboard, too. Alright, let's move on. Jabberwocky's list. Ooh. Alright, so this is the version of the last deck that has focus. And that focus is to be controlling. You don't see the blossoming defenses and snakes. This deck is ready to go longer, and it's way more focused on energy. I like this deck a lot more. A way to look at this is Temur Energy, but one step bigger. You know, you always talk about leveling. You want to be on level 2 if they're on level 1, and level 3 if they're on level 2. This is like the next level, like it's slightly bigger. I'm not sure about... It seems a little top heavy. Gonti's great. I love Gonti. It sucks that, like, there's so many 4-drops taking up these slots, because I would love to play a Gonti Hostage Taker deck. Just beat them with their own stuff. But yeah, it seems top heavy. We're back to 22 lands with the Servant and the 4 tunes, obviously. But 3 Scarab God, 3 Gonti, and 2 6-drops? And the 2 Contempts? Seems top heavy. I think the mana isn't worth it. Honestly, I doubt the mana's that bad. Like, Aether Hub Attune is just so good at making whatever you need to happen. Like, it feels like Vivid Land Reflecting Pool. Like, if you just have a green source and a tune and a hub, then, like, you can cast all your spells. And then Servant obviously makes all 5 colors. Two random cycle lands. Not sure how I feel about those either. I love the cycle lands in a lot of decks. But this one that's already like top heavy and mana hungry, I don't think you can afford it. I would play 0 or 1. Might just be that you don't have another good blue-black or red-black duel. Maybe you have to. I don't know. I don't know. I like Siphoner a lot more in this deck too, because your cards are more high impact and you have more things that like need to die. Honestly, I doubt the mana is that much worse than Temur is. Like, it looks bad, right? It looks bad on paper, right? There's like all these double black spells in this mana base that can normally support just the 3 colors. But it's the same type of mana, right? Either it all works or none of it works. Like, you might have to mulligan one more time than the Temur deck every, 100 games or whatever, but the times that you would just die to the mana in this deck, you're pretty much gonna just die to the mana in the Temur deck as well. Somebody's messaging me. I heard my phone go off. Sweet deck. I would cut down on the top end a little more, but nitpick away. Mardu vehicles. First day was cut one Scarab God, one Gonti, one Virtuoso. I would put the Virtuoso back in. I like cutting a Scarab God, a Gonti, and a Vraska, I think, is better. I want that Virtuoso in the deck still. But I like where your head's at. That's the same headspace I'm in with that deck. Thundermo, Hellkite, Neon Goif. What's up? That's my shit. This list is trash, though. That has not been my experience, Sauce. Virtuoso seems like a card that works in every stage of the game. Not all cards work at every stage of the game. Okay, Standard Classic in Cincinnati, 2nd place. Looks pretty standard. 1 Shock, 4 Strike, 4 Disintegration, 4 Heart, 2 Harvester. I don't know, this looks pretty normal. Do you Fatal Push or not Fatal Push? I don't think Fatal Push is that good right now. DePaula or Pia? Pia, for sure. I don't think that's even really a close decision. Excuse me. Like, if you could find room for 2 Pia and 2 DePaula, sure, but if you only have 2 slots, I would just go 2 Pia. If you have 3 slots, maybe you could go 2 Pia, 1 DePaula. I'm just going through the decks on Goldfish. For now, we'll get to, like, the top 8s of events after that. Add 1 cut ribbons. I like that. I don't mind that. Solemnity. Whoa. That's an interesting card. I don't think I've ever read this card. Or if I have, I instantly forgot it. Pretty interesting. Ferocidons, Abrades, a second shock. Authority of the consoles. I don't know. This seems like this opponent was expecting a lot of red. Like a lot of red. Click on Jorthus list. I don't know what that means. You gotta, if you want me to look at something, link it. I don't know what a Jorthus is. I don't even like Motorist that much, to be honest. How you feel about Swamp and Unclaimed Territory? What's Unclaimed Territory? Gatherer. Come on. Oh, this one. I don't hate it. I mean, if you're playing mono fucking dwarves over here, dwarves and artifacts, you might as well play Unclaimed Territory, right? Modus is bonkers. 2 mana 3/1 that scries 2. I've read the card. I have read the card. I'm aware of the text. Alright, here's apparently a better vehicles list. Whoa. A lot to take in. Pushes over strikes and disintegrations I'm not hot on. Ramonap Ruins. Can only sacrifice itself? I really don't think you can get away with playing 4 of these. Hey, Tiny. Sideboard looks better for a realistic metagame, for whatever that's worth. And they have the Nalars over the Depalas. The 4th Hazoret I like. Ugh. Did the other list play 4 mountains? Jesus. 4 mountains, 4 plains? There's no way that's right. What's this? Oh, this is modern. I'm not looking at modern right now. I don't know. Whatever. It's smarter vehicles. You've seen it 100 times. Let's move on. Blue, white. Alright. What's market do? Draw 2? Draw 2, then discard 2? Ugh. Ugh. Guess it's probably worth playing 1, but that card's way worse than I thought. Not really sure what this is about. I like the idea of search with a bunch of cyclers. You have opt sensor, um, cast out. He's playing the glimmer instead of the inspiration with cycling. And I think I would switch that, or at least split them. Especially because they don't have torrential gear hulks, just one in the board. Makes me even more willing to split them. I guess Glimmer's just too important because of approach. Yeah, exactly. I guess that's why. But I think, like, if you have search active, you just win anyway. Because you approach and then um, draw two, dig four, draw for turn, approach, right? Is it as the seventh card or under the seventh card? Seventh. Okay. So yeah, that shouldn't actually matter that much. The point is that, like, Escanta is just so good. Yeah, Thundermo. Like, I get it, but like having a cycler to get search for Escanta active is better than just having a glimmer and having to wait another full turn cycle, right? The rest dumps on this deck? Can't imagine that's true. Unless you're like leaning really hard on a Wrath that game. Only one Field of Ruin feels wrong. Only 25 lands feels wrong. I know that this turns into a land, but I still would want 26. I guess you have so many cyclers. 8 planes is a lot too. I feel like this card's too important. It's like the old Nephalia Drownyard Mirrors. 26 and 0 ops. Yeah, because it has ops sensor and Supreme Will on 3. And cast out cycles. That seems to ignore Dude, Lost Legacy is so bad. Plus you have kill conditions in your sideboard. Yeah, and the search scries to make your land drops. I like it. I think if I didn't have like all of my sensors or Supreme Wills yet, the ops would be cut for them. But once I have 4 of each of those, the rest of the slots can be opt. You have to do different things with your deck building if you're playing Gear Hulks. But I like not bothering with it. Only 3 negate in the board is interesting. Should probably be 4. It's like the best card in your board. Kefnet, I am into. I don't even know what this card does. Oh, yeah, this thing's great. This thing's really great. That thing, obviously, for red and whatnot. The Gear Hulk in the board, I'm not even sure is worth playing. but this deck should just get torn apart by blue-black and like beat everything else, basically. Teamer's probably a little tough post-board. Maybe. Maybe not even. Maybe it just beats the crap out of it. But blue-black should just crush this deck. Moving on. Abs and tokens. So this is the hidden stockpile deck. Wow, all 4 anointed processions. I've seen lists with 4, I've seen lists with 1, I've seen lists with 2, I've seen lists with 0. But all 4 is pretty sweet. Renegade map, fix your mana. Excuse me. Legion's Landing is like the card. Yes, stockpile's the card, but three and 3 is an interesting split. For procession. Yeah, I mean, it puts it into overdrive. But it's also, like, kind of a win more card some percentage of the time. Authority to consoles. I'm not even sure you need this. Like, this deck should crush red already, right? Maybe some contempts. Duresses are good. Bloodfast is sweet. Lost Legacy is terrible. Solemnity is interesting. Another one of these in the board. And Angel of Sanctions, I'm not super hot on either. Hyok StarCraft. Just talking about decks. Talking about standard stuff for the Pro Tour. I think there's a couple ways to build this deck that all really have the same like convergence points in the game. Like the same game types, I should say. I like this call. The green splash is definitely something I would do if I was playing this deck. This deck has so many lands. It has 23 plus maps, plus Legion's Landing, plus Cyclers. Yeah, I used to do fantasy drafts all the time. Pro point total is the way to do it. Match points to high variance if somebody doesn't day 2. Or like somebody could like day 2 and then lose and then quit when they still have match points they can get. Just do pro points, it's the easiest. If you tie on pro points, then the tiebreaker can be either highest individual finish or total money one. What happened to all the Dynavolt tower-based dex control strategies? Rotation. 2 damage is not great. There's better things to do with your energy. Like you can have cards that like produce their own energy and then do something with their own energy rather than like a card that you have to play, it does nothing, and then you have to play some other cards that might not do anything in order to get it to do something, and then 2 damage isn't even that much. Right? So like it's this huge investment of assumptions that like it resolves and lives and you can activate it and there's something that dealing 2 damage to is worthwhile for. Like it just asks way too much. Yeah, braids also were just a nail in a coffin. Nail in the coffin. Dark and Stormy? Glad to hear it. I'm still a Moscow Mule man myself, but I like me a Dark and Stormy every once in a while. Yeah, so like you can pay 5 energy for a bolt, or you can pay 3 energy for a 1/1, or plus and plus one counter and hexproof, or or 2 energy for draw a card and lose a life. Like, there's just better ways to do it. Black red aggro. This is the deck that I haven't even really seen, but apparently stepped in when red went out. This became the aggro deck to play because it is more resilient, more disruptive, goes longer, and then and if it doesn't just lose to red, then it can actually play. But if red is part of the metagame, then it'll just crush this deck. Kentucky Mule. What's that? Bourbon? Ugh, I relate Kentucky with bourbon and horrible senators. That is horse racing, but I don't really care about that. Mono black variants of this shell. Oh, I have seen this Bone Picker deck. This is Ken Yukihiro's deck. This is Conquistador. It's the Pulse Tracker or whatever that card was called. Bourbon ginger beer mint lime. I'm not a huge bourbon guy, but I went to a party last week, friend's birthday party. We were playing Werewolf. I go in the kitchen, and this really, really drunk girl is like, I'm like looking for a drink, and she's like, "Oh, you want gin? Like, I can make you a gin drink. We have this amazing gin." I'm like, "Yeah, I never get to drink gin. You know, I'm always just like drinking beers and cheap vodka. Like, I never get to drink gin." Sure. And she's like, "Yeah, okay." And she like gets all these ingredients out and takes a clean cup and starts to pour the gin, and it's just empty, just bone dry. She's like, "Oh, we drank all the gin." Oh, sigh. Anyway, yeah, this is essentially Ken Yukihiro's deck, if I recall correctly, which I believe I do. Rune Raider's interesting. Not bothering with the Glint Sieve Siphon or energy stuff, just being like, yeah, just give it to me. Just give me the fucking card. Jin sucks, bullet dodged. Nah, nah. Jin's pretty sweet. Harsh Scrutiny. That's cute. I'm not sure that this would be good in this meta, though. Too many control decks. It's damn good against energy, though. As is Walk the Plank. Gin, tonic, lime. I do, I like sweeter, so I do a gin and diet Sprite. Or diet 7-Up, or diet ginger ale, or something like that. So I need that little bit of sweetness to it. Control not as popular online. Yeah, I'm talking about the pro tour tomorrow. I don't care what this person does to metagame against their league opponents. Like, pff, live your life. I'm not interested. But in terms of the pro tour, I don't think you can get away with this main deck. Ooh, I like that. I'm not sure that it's better than kill a land or kill a graveyard, make a 2/2 for more mana. Oh, it's not for more mana. Oh, yeah, it is. For a second, I thought this was the activate for 2. That's the blue one. Freebooter's great. I would play like these main over the scrutinies. That's how I would deal with that problem. And then you can play these in the board along with the duresses. Key to the City is pretty sweet. Going up to 3 harvesters, and going up to 4 walk the plank. Chris RD, I talked a bunch about why blue black is like that at the excuse the plane overhead. I talked a bunch about blue black and the biases that lead to its underrepresentation at the beginning of this stream, so you can go back and watch the VOD if you want to hear that at Garbo. So what does red give us? Strike and Hazoret? Don't even get to play Ruins because you're just so heavy black. Yeah. Yeah, honey. Doomfall's another one that I think is sweet and probably main-deckable. Vance's blasting cannons on board for that. Vraska's Contempt, sure, why not? Bantu's Last Reckoning is a little weird, but it's just for the unkillable things of the energy decks. Any PT predictions or saving till the end? I don't really have any predictions. Normally for Pro Tours, I'm like talking to some people about decks or the draft format or whatever, but this Pro Tour, I haven't spoken to anyone. I don't know what any team is doing. I don't know what people's strategies are besides what's public. So I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy the show. Yeah, Bantu with your indestructible things. Pretty sweet. "23 land with 2 slow. Sloth? Slough? I think it's Slough. Meh. Moving on.